If I'm going to be honest here, the Touhou fighting games are more fun than the mainline games in my own opinion, despite them being fan games. Of course, every good game has a story, right? I mean, a good story keeps you entertained when the gameplay sucks. Thankfully, these games have a mix of fun gameplay and interesting story. You wonder why I use Urban Legend and Limbo footage for most of this series? That's kinda why. Anyway, enough bluffing, enough padding out the video. I'm not making money from this anyway, so let's just begin with a freaking story, baby! So, as per usual, we should begin with the first Touhou fighter, Inmaterial and Missing Power, where it introduced the fam's favorite Japanese goblin, Suika Ibuki. Of course, what did she have to do with this game's incident? Well, the game's events take place after the end of Perfect Cherry Blossom, where the weather has finally returned to normal after all the chaos that happened. Every 3 days, Reimu and her friends have a feast at the shrine. During these feasts, however, a strange mist appears. The characters wonder what is causing the mist to coincidentally appear while the feast happens. Now, the game features a lot of characters: Reimu, Marisa, Sakuya, Alice, Patchouli, Yomu, Ramila, Yuyuko, Yukari, Mei-ling, and Suika herself. Now, I'm gonna focus on Reimu's scenario this time around, as it's likely the canon one. Reimu's scenario begins with her checking to see if Marisa was the one behind the incident. Marisa was like, "Nah, I ain't hiding nothing," and Reimu responded by fighting her to check to see if she was lying about hiding her ghostly presence. Sadly, she did not hide anything, and she told the truth for once. So Reimu moved on. When the evening hit, she met up with Alice, then questioned her since she too was a magician. Alice was confused, and Reimu then made a point about how you're guilty until proven innocent, which perfectly describes how the internet treats drama nowadays. So they fight, and Reimu then finds out that Alice was still not the cause of the incident. So then they both moved on. The next afternoon, Reimu still didn't get any of the clues and was feeling pretty down. That was until Yomoko and Paku encountered her and accused Reimu of being a criminal. Reimu did not like the accusation against her, so the two fight and Yomu becomes even more dead than she already is. The joke is, she's a half human, half phantom. Yomu then confessed that she did not cause the incident. At dusk, Reimu goes to the Scarlet Devil mansion. Sakuya tells Reimu to go away. Reimu then realizes that she must investigate Ramila Scarlet, as she did cause another Scarlet Mist incident, an embodiment of Scarlet Devil. Sakuya then tries to confuse Reimu with her ability to stop time, but Reimu then goes on and fights her, and after their brawl, Reimu gives Sakuya a boo-boo. And then she stopped. Sakuya then takes Reimu to Ramila, where they argued about politics of the Mist incidents, blah blah blah, and then they finally fought each other. After almost killing each other, Ramila reveals that the mist was not hers, surprisingly. Wow. On the feast day, Reimu goes to the border where she meets up with Yukari Akumo, where she gets angry about Reimu not inviting her to the feast, so they both fight. After the duel, Yukari finally reveals who the her is, and brings her to the final boss. During the evening in a pandemonic land, Yukari brings Reimu to Suika Ibuki. Suika finally reveals that she uses the mist just to cause some chaos and wanted to have a party for herself. A bit anticlimactic, but Reimu just wanted to beat up a Japanese goblin. So they both fight and Reimu prevails, wow. And from what I can assume, in the end, they finally made peace and, they partied together, which is a pretty good ending. If you ask me, of course. Next up comes the best Touhou fighters story-wise in my opinion, Scarlet Weather Rhapsody. The events of this game take place after Mountain of Faith, where the weather has become crazy again. Instead of Gensoku getting covered with snow, hail falls in the Forest of Magic. The Scarlet Devil Mansion is covered in a large, misty haze once again, this time not by Ramila. And the shrine gets destroyed again thanks to an earthquake. Due to these occurrences, the characters must investigate whatever the hell just happened. I will mix things up and go with Marisa Kurosawa's scenario this time around. It all begins where she's complaining about how the rain is stopping her clothes to dry. Alice then meets up with Marisa to complain about how her clothes cannot dry. Then it suddenly hails and Marisa gets suspicious about Alice, and then the two fight. Marisa prevails and realizes that she needs to investigate more of the incident to find the true culprit because Alice clearly did not cause it. After destroyed her Kure shrine, she met up with Reimu and find out that she's clearly upset as her shrine was destroyed by an earthquake, and saying that the weather suddenly changed from a drizzling weather to a sunny weather. Marisa conveniently showed up, so Reimu connected the dots and she was like, Marisa caused this? Ah, hell nah. They then duel once again and Marisa reigns victorious. Next, Marisa met up with Raisin Dogen and Naba as Raisin thought something was going to happen to Marisa. Raisin then takes her to somewhere else where she pointed out that there are clouds coming from the Scarlet Mountain and that the weather was strangely permanent and unusual looking. Raisin then suspects that Marisa was behind the incident, but Marisa beats up Raisin for even suggesting that she's better than herself. Later up the mountain, the weather becomes a tempest, and in a moment after that, Aya Shamemaru enters and she is disturbed by an intruder and wants her way out. Marisa had a goal to reach the top of the mountain, so she beat up Aya to get her way. After getting beat up, Aya allowed Marisa to pass, but tells her that she's being watched. On the top of the mountain, the clouds were below her and she could easily see the sun. Iku Nagai then shows up telling Marisa that she is worried about the future Gensokyo thanks to the weather. Marisa tells Iku that she's in her way, and Marisa figured that the land where the culprit lies is where she can find her answer. Iku then gives her a monologue that I could not be bothered to read, and Marisa tries to stop her as if she was the culprit. After being defeated, Iku makes a doomsday prediction about a killer earthquake destroying Gensokyo someday in the future. I mean, it was said to happen in 2012 in San Andreas, but that shit was fake, so... Iku then reveals that there is one above the clouds that involved with earthquakes, so Marisa goes higher in the sky. In heaven, Tenchi Hinanae encounters Marisa, and it is revealed that she can control the weather to her liking, as she is the closest thing to God in this universe. Tenchi reveals that she was collecting temperance such that she can create a mist that could lift up into heaven and create a scarlet sky. Well, she collects a temperance with her sword of Hiso, where she slams it on the ground to collect the temperance. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know what the hell she's talking about, and Marisa agrees with me too, as she said the same thing, quoted here. Tenchi was getting bored with the whole celestial thing, so she accepted to fight Marisa. After Marisa defeated Tenchi, I assume Tenchi stops her whole collecting temperance thing and everything went back to normal. The weather stopped, being crazy and all that, for now. Next up, we have the competitive fighting game community's favorite Touhou game, Hiso Densoku. So basically, it involves a human-shaped thing walking across the mountains far away, and then it disappearing into the fog. Sanaiko Chiya believed it to be a giant robot. Surno believed it to be a Daidara Bochi, and Hong Meiling thought it was Tatsui Shinchun. So the three go and investigate. This time around, I'm going to choose our friendly neighbor Sanai on this journey, as it's only fitting as we have another shrine maiden on a journey. While Surno's wondering if what she saw was the legendary Daidara Bochi, Sanai lands beside her while the giant thing disappeared. When Sanai asks Surno about whatever that thing was, she mentioned Daidara Bachi but denies actually seeing it. Sanai gets suspicious for whatever reason, so logically to settle their differences, they fought each other. After deleting Surno, Sanai asked where the hell that giant thing went, and Surno said it went to the Scarlet Devil Mansion. At the Scarlet Devil Mansion, Hong Meiling was wondering if that giant thing she saw was Taisui Xingchun, which is the god of calamity in Chinese folklore. Sanai asked where that thing went, and Meiling said it went toward the mountains, but she wouldn't allow her to leave as apparently she does not like it when guests come and go as they please, or whatever BS rule she came up with. So they fought and Sanai won, but not until a mist appeared around the mansion. Then, a giant robot appears at the bottom of the base of the mountain. The giant thing appears to be around the Geyser Underground Center, and seeing as the mist is appearing from that center, Sanai believes that they are both related somehow. She descends underground into the Geyser Center and believes that this is the giant thing's docking bay. Reimu suddenly falls into the Geyser Center too and asks Sanai where she is. She explains that this is a nuclear fusion reactor, but Reimu is Reimu and she assumes that Sanai is up to no good again. Of course they fight, but after Sanai sent Reimu to the Shadow Realm, Reimu believes that Sanai was up to good. If that's the phrase. Sanai then goes up to the nuclear reactor where she encounters Utsuho Ryuji, where she was sent to eradicate a foreign substance, and that foreign substance was Sanai. Sanai explains that she is the servant of the higher power than Utsuho herself. Context, Sanai is a demigoddess human being. Utsuho doesn't even remember who Sanai or the constructor of the nuclear reactor was, Kaneko Yasuka. She starts to fight Sanai, but Utsuho then stops as she forgot what she was supposed to do. Sanai then takes advantage of her and then tricks her into assisting with her investigation. She asks Utsuho what that giant thing is and where it is, and Utsuho gave her a very helpful answer of, "I've never seen such thing." A few moments later in the reactor, Suwako Moria, hey, that's me, jumps down and accidentally lands on Sanai. Tawako was there to restart Hisel Tensoku, the giant thing that I mentioned a lot in this story. She had built this robot without Kaneko's knowledge. The two fight as Sanai wants to punish Tawako for his selfish deeds and then challenges her to battle. At the end of the fight, Sanai, Tawako, and Kaneko talk about how the robots work, and then they talk about random projects and all that goobage. Yeah, it's a bit anticlimactic. I mean, it would be cool if we fought Hisel Tensoku itself, like that one battle in Mega Man X5, if you know what I mean, but I think that might have been too much to ask for. Still would have been epic though. Taking place between the two most forgettable Touhou games, 10 Desires and Double Dealing Character, is Hopeless Masquerade. Due to the amount of incidents that have happened over the years, the human village has fallen into a state of hopeless pessimism, a hopeless masquerade if you will. They believe that the religion can restore the natural order as their residents are believers of Buddhism, Taoism, and Shintoism, and all want to believe that this is their chance to gain dominance in their respective faith. This time around, screw it, I'll go with Nitori Kawashio's scenario. She's freaking Nitori, man. At the beginning of her story, she was trying to run a toilet stall, I assume. That was until Byakuren came in and complained that Nitori was doing it all wrong and was scamming her customers for a bathroom stall. So anyway, Nitori fights the grape juice hair goddess and beats her up with Kappa engineering. Nitori, as a respectable engineer that she is, reminds Byakuren that she pays for all her business fees. At a popular location, Nitori goes to pick up some cucumbers. All was good until Mrs. Nobody, aka Ichin Kumoi, enters and complains that Nitori used violence at the temple with Byakuren. Nitori, being the good Christian girl, reminds Nichiren that she only did it in self-defense. Nichiren ignores what Nitori was saying and attacks her. After beating her up, Nitori complains about religious people despite being our favorite neighborhood Christian girl. While selling some fish at the festival, she thinks that she could start a monopoly on the humans to get easy money. That was all going good until local bully Marisa Kirisama burst into the marketplace where Nitori was. Marisa believes that Nitori was winning people's hearts for whatever reason. Nitori doesn't believe any of Marisa's garbage, but Marisa wanted to brawl her, so she accepted and won. After beating up Marisa, she claims that Nitori's tools are basically a religion to her, but Nitori says that if everyone thought like that, then they would be a believer in something. At the local shrine, Nitori asked Reimu if she could start up a shop nearby, but she denied since the whole human village was in the middle of chaos. It would be like joining the enemy, aka suicide. Nitori then complains about other religions and her getting popular and this and that, until Reimu had enough of Nitori's garbage. But Reimu could not handle the power of our favorite neighborhood Kappa, so she got defeated by Nitori. Nitori then realized that there are people cheering for her and she got really embarrassed by the attention. Nitori was walking around at the Myoran temple, and all was good until Isoyo Tatamimi no Miku appears, where she calls her a Kappa youngster. She reveals herself to be the strongest religious leader around, that she could not conquer the festival while taking her down. Nitori accepts her challenge and tells her that she stinks worse than a tanuki. After defeating the only other Christian in Touhou universe that, coincidentally, I'm not a fan of, Nitori knows that she is pretty strong. She went to a popular location where she met up with Mamizo Futatsuiwa, where she explained why yokai like Nitori was competing for popularity. Nitori explains that it was an accident, but that inspired Mamizo to fight for popularity as well. After beating up that local Tanuki scum, Nitori was thinking that there was a connection between the strength and popularity of a character. Mamizo suggests that Nitori should go to the village and visit the leader since Nitori is the strongest leader right now. In the middle of the night, Nitori visits the village and sees some floating mask flying around her. And that was until the mask revealed its user, Hata no Kokoro. Nitori then remembers that there were so many masks at the toilet stall. The masks wanted to come with her, but Nitori wanted them to pay a fee, which the masks and Kokoro did not accept. Despite all that garbage, Nitori had an epic anime battle between her and Kokoro, where she, despite all the odds, came out victorious. After that, Nitori was able to convince Reimu to install the toilet stalls at the shrine, and hires a fairy saleswoman to work for her, and her dreams of starting a monopoly on Gensokyo has only begun. To be continued? Never. Aww. If you had a keen eye or you watched the intro, you probably noticed that I've been using footage from our next game, Urban Legend in Limbo, as B-roll footage in my lore series. Pretty interesting, right? Probably not, but that's not the point. Anyway, strange urban legends, rumors have been circulating around the human village where they have exploded and driven children into fear. The yokai got jealous that they couldn't scare these children as well as the fake news could. Reimu and her friends believe that these rumors could be tamed for themselves, and that you can control them without being rendered harmless, and take that power for yourself, until one night, something bad happened. So the crew had to go and investigate. I think it's a good idea that we follow the story of our favorite local scum, Mamizo Futatsuiwa. In the Suzunon manga, she enjoys being a trickster, so I think that would be interesting to follow. However, the prologue follows Reimu where she meets up with Marisa to talk about the mysterious power, the occult. Reimu wanted to test it out on Marisa, so they beat each other up. After Reimu beating up Marisa with the power of her stand balls, she later was amazed by the power of the balls, so she then decides to go meet up with Kansa and Ibaraki. She was wondering how, what, and why Marisa had an occult ball as well. Then, during their chat, Constant realized that Reimu had an occult ball and that she wanted it for herself. Reimu did not want our favorite neighborhood bully Constant to have the ball, so she bullied her back. Constant realized the ball's power was too great for her, so she backed off. Later on, Reimu was in a weird place where she was too intrigued to sleep, but suddenly a weird thing appeared in front of her. Who was this weird thing? Reimu did not know, but she knew it had to do with the occult balls. To be continued? When shall we continue then? Right now, of course. I didn't forget about Marisa and her story, totally not. But anyway, Mamiso was just enjoying her day. All was good, but she decided to go to Marisa Kirasawa. She wanted to talk about, quote-unquote, another world, which is basically a synonym for the occult balls. Marisa wouldn't budge, so Mamiso, like the mapache she is, beat her up like a raccoon beating up a rat competing for the same trash. After her defeat, Marisa reveals that she was holding an occult ball and Mamiso inspected it and took it while she was going to the outside world. Next, Reimu was wondering how she got her own occult ball until Marisa was like, "Yo dudes, I just want that occult ball for myself." But Reimu was like, "Nah." But Mamiso needed it. Reimu couldn't just give it to her, as it was attached to her like a cursor or a stand. So Mamiso, using her newfound stand powers, beats up our favorite local neighborhood ice cream seller Reimu, and then begrudgingly gave Mamiso her occult ball. Later on, Mamiso learned more of the occult balls, and then suddenly, Hata no Kokoro appeared asking her if she was pretty. Mamiso was like, "Your soulless ass is asking me?" Hata no Kokoro got pretty angry as she didn't get a compliment, so Mamiso had to fight. Thankfully, Mamiso won and even got her own occult ball. Mamiso was learning more and more about these occult balls, even comparing them to power stones. Then suddenly, our favorite local neighborhood bully, Kansa Ibaraki, appears and wonders why, out of all people, Mamiso has the balls. Kansa told Mamiso to let go of the occult balls. However, Mamiso wanted to keep the balls so that she can go to the outside world whenever she wanted. Mamiso then attacked our local cotton candy hair hermit and bested her. Kansa then revealed that her, Reimu and Marisa, all had a plan to keep her out of Gensokyo, which is why they had to hide the occult balls. Mamiso understood, but disregarded the message that she will give the her a taste of her own medicine. In the outside world of what I assume to be Tokyo at night, Mamiso meets with her, and the her is Sumarenko Usami, who has a strange fascination with the cockroaches. Mamiso wondered what her goal was with those balls, and she replied that, "Oh, I had no goal really, it was just for fun." Then she reveals that she has Gensokyo's Power Stone, which allows her to enter whenever and however she pleases, like Mr. President in that turtle from Ventura Rail. Mamiso knew what she had to do, so she beat up Sumarenko with her anime magic and oh, she's dead. Well, that sucks. Mamiso successfully defeated Sumarenko once and for all and denied her access to the Gensokian lands. Thankfully, now she can go back to being a regular-ass, boring Japanese schoolgirl who likes the occult and wears a cape. Yeah, totally not strange. Now we can move on to the most recent of the fighting games, Antinomy of Common Flowers. A strange phenomenon called perfect possession is taking place, where people are able to possess other people in both body and mind, so basically, you become a stand. Due to the urban legend incidents not actually being resolved, the humans are freaking terrified of this problem. Reimu and her friends go and set out and investigate on whatever hell's going on and save the world. Due to perfect possession, the scenarios follow two characters' journeys this time. I think it would be funny if we did Sumarenko and Dormi's scenario because it's not a character duo that you would expect but actually exists somehow. We begin with our favorite cockroach lady meeting up with Reimu and Sokyo. From what I guess in the last game, she had a spare Gensokyo in a cult ball, or Mamiso didn't take her a cult ball, so that's why she's in Gensokyo talking to Reimu. Reimu did not enjoy her typing Gensokyo, so she tried to exterminate her where she had to fight Reimu and Dormi at the same time. But Sumarenko had the power of freaking collapsing towers, so she won. Reimu then told her that if she wanted to escape, she must find the other Sumarenko. Next up, she met up with Marisa where she begged her that she could not escape. Marisa probably had a nail in her shoe because she did not like Sumarenko's begging. Sumarenko had to fight and destroy Marisa, and she did. However, Sumarenko realized that this Marisa and Reimu felt different. Like, their bodies are the same, but their souls are different. Like Robo-Greg, Marisa then revealed that she was in the dream world and she was sleeping. Later in her dream, Dormi revealed that Sumarenko that she had been possessed. Later in her dream, Dormi revealed to Sumarenko that she had possessed her, which Sumarenko did not enjoy lightly. So she did the most logical thing that someone would have done and blew her up. I'm running out of synonyms for defeating someone, okay? Dormi revealed more about herself, that she could not escape this world, and that every time she had dreamed, she visited Gensokyo, which is ironically called Fantasy Dreamland or something like that in Japanese. However, for whatever reason, she vanished from the dream world? So Sumarenko then woke up somewhere else where Yukari Akuma revealed that she was going to help Sumarenko escape. Dormi revealed that she did not like people interfering with the dream world, but Yukari did not like Dormi interfering with the real world and people sleeping. So, like a pawn in a war, Dormi forced Sumarenko to beat up Yukari. After a battle, Dormi revealed that the perfect possession incidents and the urban legend incidents are related in some way, which would make sense. So Dormi, or Yukari, sent her to the real world, awake and all again. Sumarenko saw that there were two extra versions of her, the master and slave versions. Basically, if you know that scene from Sonic Adventure, you know that it would go like this. Slave Sumarenko would be like, "I am the true Sumarenko," while the real Sumarenko is like, "I'll make you eat those words!" Sumarenko had to keep fighting the fake Sumarenkos until they blew up, and she was finally free from her curse, and she could finally return to the real world, a real mundane life at a Tokyo high school. However, her dreams of her staying in a dream world still exist and will be explained in Violet Detector, which is honestly a fitting end for this episode as it's already on the 9th page of the script. Oh my goodness. I honestly didn't expect that end would go as smoothly as it did, but Anyways, how do you feel about the series? If you made it this far, thank you for keeping up with my annoying ass. I really do appreciate it. I really do. The least I could request you to do is to leave a comment about anything, really. You know, I enjoy reading the comments and laughing at them at school. I mean, they really do make me happy. Anyway, tune in next time as I read off the wiki the other side games that I didn't mention in the series. You know, Shoot the Bullet, that one that started Hatate or something like that, and Violet Detector. So, yeah, the video is ended. Go in peace, mis güeyes. Next up comes the best Touhou fighter story-wise in my opinion, Scarlet Weather Rhapsody. These fucking dogs! Cállense, por favor.